An angry crowd demands the death of a witch. They blame her for corrupting a knight with her evil magic. They want her gone from their holy land. After all the battles she fought for the kingdom, this is how they repay her, by crucifying and burning her. Even in pain, the witch wishes for her homeland to thrive for 1,000 generations. A boy named Chiba is at an interview to rent a small apartment. He wants a place for 30,000 yen, which is very cheap, especially for Tokyo. Surprisingly, the agent tells him he might have just the place. It's a furnished apartment with utilities included, right in the center of Tokyo, and the rent is just 20,000 yen. But the agent warns him. There are strange stories about this apartment. Chiba doesn't care. He doesn't believe in ghosts or monsters. So they schedule a visit. Later, Chiba arrives at the apartment. He thinks it looks like a mausoleum, but for that price, he can't complain. The agent says the house was inspired by European architecture. For example, the ceiling beams are handmade with imported European wood. Then the man mentions, the wood supposedly came from the site of a witch execution. At least that's the legend. But Chiba doesn't care about legends. He just wants a cheap place. Outside, a strange man is watching them. He looks like a ghost. Chiba feels the man's intense stare, like he's being judged. Chiba quickly closes the window and tells the agent someone's staring at them. But the man calmly says, strange things are normal here, especially in this room. He says he feels a strong evil presence here. The agent warns Chiba again to find another place. But Chiba is sure. He wants this one. The agent gives up. Chiba signs the contract happily. After all, he'd never find such a cheap place in Tokyo. A week later, it's Chiba's first day in his new home. Time to unpack. He's just arrived when he hears a strange noise. It's a creepy voice. Still, for 20,000 yen, he's willing to tolerate some weird sounds. That night, nothing else happens. Until later when he hears the voice again. This time it says, kill. Chiba finds it strange. It's like the ghost is too lazy and wants someone else to do the job. The voice keeps bothering him until Chiba yells, I'm not doing what you say. Suddenly, he sees a girl trapped on the ceiling, with two priests about to hurt her. One of them strikes her with something like a whip. She screams in pain, but Chiba isn't focused on her pain. He just wants to know what's going on. He grabs one of the stranger's arms, but the ghost's arm turns to dust and both of them vanish. Chiba is stunned. He's sure it's a dream, but not just any dream, something special. To him, it'd be a waste not to enjoy this kind of dream. The girl asks if he's the new inquisitor. She says he's wasting his time. She'll never lose her faith. Chiba looks at her eyes, pure and determined. He thanks her for accepting a pure offering. He picks up her gear. The girl is shocked. She can barely speak, but Chiba is enjoying this. Apparently, these are his methods. The knight says she won't lose faith no matter what. She refuses to give up, but then he touches her skin directly and maybe it's too much for her. Tears start forming in her eyes. All Chiba can think is, her skin is so soft. This is the first time something like this is happening to him. He thinks this might be the happiest day of his life. Finally, he lets her go. The knight tells him that he touched demons and survived, so maybe he's blessed somehow. But Chiba ignores her. He lifts her blouse. She warns him to stop, but he grabs her two weak spots, and that's too much for her. Chiba is surprised by her unexpected reaction. To him, the warrior made a cute sound. The girl says she wants to die, because only someone truly evil could smile like that. Chiba remembers this is a dream, so he thinks he can do whatever he wants. With full confidence, he asks the girl to be his girlfriend. Of course, she says no, very bluntly. Desperate after being rejected, he hides somewhere he wasn't supposed to. Chiba even starts crying, saying not even in his dreams can he get a girlfriend. Even the girl has stopped resisting the strange pleasure. He feels something enter his mouth. He doesn't know what it is, but it feels good. Now the dream feels too real, and he begins to question if it's really just a dream. The girl can't take it anymore. She doesn't even want to live. Suddenly, a strange energy fills the house. She somehow escapes from where she was trapped. She introduces herself. She is the Holy Knight Margaret, and by her authority, she sentences him. Then, she summons her sacred sword. But to Chiba, it looks more like a demonic weapon. Margaret has never been tested like this before. Her faith has never been so shaken. She hopes this is a dream, because everything feels way too real. With her holy sword, she pierces Chiba's chest. He definitely feels it. He falls to the ground, unable to move. There's no pain, but he can't feel his lips either. Chiba can only pray, thinking this is the end. Several days later, even though Chiba thought he had died somehow, he's still breathing. Now he must get used to his new routine, school, and his new haunted home. Maybe it really was just a dream, a crazy nightmare caused by the cursed apartment. But then reality hits. Margaret is there, welcoming him home. She says the curry is ready. Chiba asks if it's boiled, and she says, yes, it's the only way I know how to cook. She learned from watching TV. She proudly presents her food, but Chiba begs her to stop cooking and move on to the afterlife. But she reminds him again. She won't leave until she removes the sacred sword from inside him. She sticks her hand into his chest, and the sword hilt appears. She pulls it to one side. Nothing. She pulls to the other side, and Chiba begs her to stop. That's how things are now. After receiving the sword in his heart, he's still alive. In fact, he has absorbed the sacred blade. With that settled, she asks if he'll eat the curry. They sit down to eat together. She takes a big spoonful, and it's so spicy it feels like lava. But Margaret doesn't even flinch. Then, she explains what happened. That night, Chiba's powerful spiritual energy merged with hers, giving her a physical form. In return, his body absorbed the holy sword. To Margaret, her sword is more important than her own life. She says if he wants her gone, he'll have to help her recover the sword. Until then, she's staying. And she won't pay rent either, since he grabbed her, even if he insists he thought it was a dream. That's how they began living together, with Margaret calling him a rat who stole her sword. Margaret quietly watches TV in the living room. In the show, one boy insults another. They punch each other, but then become friends. This gives her an idea of how school works in this world. At school, someone calls out to Chiba. An outgoing boy invites him to karaoke. Chiba can't remember his name. The boy notices and introduces himself. Paris Knight. A name no one should forget, he says. Paris heard Chiba lives alone, yet always rushes home after school. Chiba lies and says he actually lives with his sister. Paris suggests they hang out more since they'll be classmates for the year, but Chiba already knows the truth. Paris just wants to use his apartment as a hangout spot, so Chiba refuses, saying karaoke won't do him any good, and even gives Paris a tip. Save your money for something useful. Back home, Chiba says, "I'm home." Margaret welcomes him and asks if he found a sparring partner at school. To Chiba, all the boys at school are idiots with spiky hair and piercings everywhere. He only chose this school because it's far from his parents' house and because the academic level is low, so hanging out is just a waste of time. More importantly, he asks when his guest will finally move on. But despite everything, there's been no progress. To Chiba, Margaret is just wasting time. She should pass on already. Margaret agrees, but calls him a dishonest rat and a sword thief. Maybe it would be easier just to end Chiba's life. She pulls a blade out of his body and says she'll use what she learned on TV about frying a fish on him. Terrified, Chiba runs out of the house, leaving her behind. Just like always, a coward. In the end, Chiba still believes the girl is an evil spirit. Chiba promises to buy some food, hoping it'll calm Margaret down. He continues walking alone through the streets. Eventually, he finds himself in a part of the city he's never seen before. It feels like he's in an entirely different town. The smaller, quieter atmosphere actually makes him feel better. But then, he accidentally bumps into someone. It's a delinquent with an unfriendly face, and the guy gets completely soaked. Chiba tries to apologize, but the delinquent refuses to accept it. He demands 500,000 yen for his shirt. Obviously, Chiba thinks that's ridiculous. Unfortunately, he gets beaten up in the alley. The delinquent says, "This is a lesson. A kid should know what happens when he messes with an adult." Then he takes Chiba's wallet as compensation. Suddenly, a voice asks if Chiba really isn't going to fight back. He looks up and sees Margaret standing beside him in full armor. She asks if he's really going to let the guy walk away like that. But Chiba says there's no point in fighting someone clearly stronger. Only fools do that. In his opinion, bravery in today's world doesn't solve anything. Meanwhile, the delinquent notices there's a lot of cash in Chiba's wallet. As he counts it, someone else shows up. Someone Chiba didn't expect to see. It's his classmate, Paris. Paris tries to snatch the wallet back from the thug. Chiba can't believe it. But Paris gets punched in the face. The thug tells him to back off. Still, Paris tries again. Another punch. Paris fights back and demands an apology, but gets hit again. Margaret asks Chiba if he knows this kid, but Chiba isn't even listening. He's just confused. Why is Paris doing this? Paris shouts that the money the thug is stealing was meant for his friend's food at home, but the thug ignores him. Margaret says Paris is fighting without any chance of winning, just to protect a friend. Chiba feels terrible. He asks himself if Paris is being brave or just foolish. The thug finally gets tired of the boy's stubbornness. He gives Chiba's wallet back, but only in exchange for Paris's wallet. Paris agrees to the trade. Chiba watches all of this until he can't stay still anymore. He jumps on the thug, not wanting him to hurt Paris anymore. The thug is surprised, but still punches Chiba. That's when Margaret steps in. She tells Chiba to prepare himself. She pulls the sword hilt from his chest and charges at the thug. Before anyone can react, she strikes the man with her sword, sending him flying. He hits the ground, defeated. Then the blade vanishes again. The thug is knocked out cold. The two boys stand there, speechless. They both scream in surprise, but the thug starts to move again. Apparently, he's still alive. though it looked like he'd visited the afterlife and come back. Worst of all, he stepped in dog poop and fell in it too. As if things couldn't get worse, two men who look like Yakuza appear. They say they've finally found him. The delinquent's expression says it all. He looks like he's already dead inside. All Chiba can do is watch him get taken away. Chiba asks if the thug was cursed, but Margaret says, no, it was purification. It seems like the sword was finally released, but for some reason, it disappeared again. Paris isn't in any condition to talk. Still, he thanks Chiba for saving him, but Chiba says it was actually the other way around. Paris admits he should have called the police instead of trying to fight. Feeling a little awkward, Chiba quietly thanks him for stepping in. Paris tries to get excited again about karaoke, but Chiba tells him to take care of his injured face first. Suddenly, Margaret pulls out her sword and strikes Paris. Before Chiba can react, she explains, she erased his memory because he saw too much. Now Paris looks even more confused than before. Margaret says she wants to make sure no witnesses are left behind. After lunch, they thank each other for the meal. Chiba offers to wash the dishes, but the girl says she'll do it. What the ghost wants is for him to go and finish his homework, which he ends up doing. Then he gets a warning message on his phone. It says that a man around 40 years old has been stealing women's underwear in the neighborhood. It's a dangerous area, but the rent is cheap, so he's willing to stay. Margaret comes over and asks if she can take a bath now that the cleaning is done. The boy says it's okay, but he can't help but think how strange it is that a woman is asking him something like that. Then he remembers she's an evil spirit. Margaret says she's going to use some bath salts called kuruso. She steps into the shower, remembering how amazing baths are in this country, much better than in her homeland. But what she loves most are the bath salts. Happily, she opens the packet and pours it into the water. She stirs it with her hand and sees her reflection in the tub. The little ghost girl steps in slowly, first dipping just her toes. Soon, she's inside the bathtub. Margaret enjoys the warm water on her soft skin and the rising steam. She feels really good, like someone is finally taking care of her. Still, she knows she needs to get her sword back. When she pulled the sword from Chiba's chest, she almost got all her powers back. But in the end, the sword returned to him. She doesn't know what to do next. When she thought Chiba was acting selflessly, she could feel the power of her sacred blade. Maybe the secret is her feelings for the boy. Suddenly, a shadow appears in the bathroom window. A strange man is peeking inside, spying on her. But Margaret sees him and grabs him through the window. She throws him like a rocket straight into the wall. The bald man flies through the house. At the same time, Chiba is walking toward the bathroom. The flying man crashes into him, hitting his nose. Both of them spin and slam into the wall. Margaret chases after the man, and now everyone is looking at him. The holy warrior wants to know who this stranger is. Chiba panics and says his love for Margaret has come back again. Now dressed, Margaret points a knife at the stranger's neck as he tries to explain. The boy realizes he was spying on the bathroom, and Margaret caught him in the act. The boy quickly starts calling the police, but the man swears he wasn't spying. He says he's hunting evil spirits. It's his job. Chiba remembers seeing this man before. The man says there's an evil spirit living in this house, and he came to help. He asks the boy if he released the spirit trapped here. He thought the woman threatening him was the evil spirit. Chiba is surprised. How does this man know so much? The bald man asks the boy's name. Then he says, you have a strong spirit, so strong that even your touch can destroy normal spirits. But Margaret is using the boy's energy to become more powerful. She's a very strong evil spirit, a special kind. As long as she stays near Chiba, she will keep draining his power until it's gone. The man tells Chiba to leave and come with him, so he can protect him from Margaret. Chiba believes him, but he feels uneasy about it. Margaret gives a warning. If the man tries to take the boy away from her, she'll kill him. The man asks why she's doing this. Margaret says the boy took something very important from her, and now he must take responsibility. Chiba tells her to stop talking weirdly, but it's too late. He's already thinking strange things. After calming down, the man says he knows about the sacred sword. Margaret explains that until she gets her powers back, she can't leave Chiba's side. The man says there may be a solution, but there are conditions. One of those is love. Their bond must grow stronger. Chiba is shocked and asks Margaret what she thinks. She says sadly that she'll never be able to get her sword back. But Chiba insists that love is still a hope. Margaret prefers to give up and disappear. The man says the only way to safely pass the sword is to strengthen the bond between them. But they don't have much time. Only 100 days. If they fail, Margaret will vanish, and worse, if Chiba's energy runs out, he could die too. So now, they have 100 days to fall in love, or it's the end. The boy tells the man to leave after the talk. Before going, the man says they can call him if they need help. He's willing to do anything for someone with such a beautiful aura like Chiba. Then, the bald man rides off on his motorcycle. In the end, he wasn't a bad guy, and he wasn't the underwear thief either. Margaret explains that someone has been stealing underwear in the neighborhood. The boy asks if her underwear is safe. Margaret says it's fine. She doesn't wear anything under her nightgown. That's enough to keep her comfortable at night. Right away, Sheba starts imagining things. After all, this is the person who sleeps next to him every night, without wearing anything underneath. He quickly tells Margaret to go buy underwear, because her sacred sword is in danger like this. A group of girls notices the top student in class, Yusa, from Class 1B. They go over to congratulate her. The boys say she got the highest score on the school exam and also gave an amazing speech, but they're all wrong. At least Yusa thinks so. She believes she didn't actually get the top score. It was a freshman who came first, but he turned down the chance to give the speech and passed it to her, the second-place student. Even though Yusa tried to explain, no one believed her. After school, she runs into someone. It's Chiba, already heading home. Yusa asks if he has any clubs after school, but he says no. She thinks he's so cool for only saying what's necessary. In reality, Chiba just doesn't know how to talk to girls. Then he thanks Yusa for giving the speech. If he had to do it, it would have been a disaster. But Yusa thanks him instead for giving her the chance. She admires how he doesn't show off, even though he's smart. He doesn't seem to care about praise. Meanwhile, Yusa worries about keeping her rank in school. Chiba, though, is just happy he didn't have to speak in front of everyone. That would have ruined his school life. While he's lost in thought, Yusa asks if he's okay. She notices that he seems distracted. Chiba says it's nothing, but there's something he wants to ask her. Without thinking, he asks her a surprising question. Yusa nearly faints when she hears it. She can't believe what he just said. Maybe she misunderstood. But no, Chiba clearly asks what kind of underwear she wears and where she buys it. The question hits her like a truck. Realizing how bad it sounds, he quickly apologizes. Then he explains, it's about his sister, who just came back from abroad. Chiba says they now live together, and she's very free-spirited. She doesn't know local customs or where to shop for underwear. Yusa understands and offers to help him shop for his sister. Chiba worries it might cause misunderstandings, but she insists. They agree to go shopping that weekend. They'll meet outside of school. Yusa says goodbye, reminding him they'll see each other tomorrow. Without knowing it, Chiba has just agreed to go on a date, all because of a strange spirit. 2 days later, Chiba is shocked that Yusa actually showed up. He invites her in to meet his sister, but her reaction is not what he expected. Margaret introduces herself like she's a commander from a fictional empire, but now pretending to be Chiba's sister. Yusa doesn't know how to react and nearly faints from surprise. Chiba asks Margaret why she's dressed like that and apologizes to Yusa. Margaret just says she's preparing some fish to eat. Later, Yusa starts measuring Margaret's body and mentions that she heard the woman is new to Japan. They talk while Yusa waits outside. She says she finds Margaret's blonde hair and skin tone beautiful. Meanwhile, Chiba listens nervously, hoping Margaret won't say anything weird. After measuring, Yusa says Margaret's waist is 70 centimeters and bust is 90 centimeters, meaning she wears a large size. Chiba can't believe this is happening. Yusa compliments his sister's looks. Suddenly, Yusa opens the door, surprising Chiba. She says she knows some cute shops and wants to take them shopping. At the first shop, it looks nice inside, but Chiba feels out of place and thinks about waiting outside. Yusa asks what kind of things Margaret likes. Looking at him, the spirit says she wants something that could stop an arrow, like chainmail. Chiba begs her to stop saying weird stuff. Margaret explains that in her time, underwear didn't exist, so she doesn't understand any of this. Seeing this, Chiba decides to stay close while shopping. Yusa watches the two and notices they seem very close. For some reason, it makes her feel uneasy. She doesn't know how to describe the feeling. Maybe it's frustration. For the first time in her life, she feels like she's losing something. Maybe Margaret is her rival. Now that she understands this, Yusa doesn't want to lose. Chiba asks if she's okay. At that moment, Margaret asks what he thinks of a certain outfit. She says there's a photo on his phone of a woman wearing something just like it. Chiba is shocked and tries to stop her, embarrassed by what she just said. A store worker reminds them that underwear can't be tried on, and Chiba starts apologizing. Somehow, he was the one who ended up choosing 3 different outfits. In the end, they manage to find something Margaret likes. She thanks Yusa and even apologizes for the trouble. Despite everything, Yusa actually enjoyed the experience. At school, the boy seems quiet and distant, but Yusa thinks he's actually quite clever. She even admits that she's a little jealous of how close he is to his sister. The boy gets a little embarrassed hearing that. But that awkward feeling she has, that frustration, means something. It's the fear that she might not be able to reach Maru. Later, Shiba goes to pay for the clothes they bought. The total is 17,400 yen. The boy nearly dies from shock. He screams when he hears the amount. He never knew women's clothes could be so expensive. Yusa tries to explain that it's because of his sister's size. But Maru can't stand watching people buy things for her anymore. She decides to get a part-time job. One day, Maru is watching a shopping channel on TV. They show a backpack strap shaped like a husky dog's face. But the best part, if you squeeze it, the toy sticks its tongue out. Maru is overwhelmed by how cute it is. She falls backward, completely defeated. It's just too cute to handle. She brings up the part-time job again. She had already mentioned it before. Chiba tells her not to worry about rent since she takes care of the house. But that's not why she wants to work. She shows him the reason, the husky face strap from the shopping channel. Now he understands. Maru asks him to help her find a job. Chiba has an idea. He shows her a student job magazine. Maru wants a job that pays the same day. Chiba explains that most jobs pay monthly, but she insists. The toy is too cute, and she's sure it'll sell out fast. After all, it was on TV, and the whole world will want one. They find a job opening for a security guard. Maru thinks this is the perfect job for a knight like her. First, Chiba explains she'll need to write a resume. Since she doesn't know how, he says he'll help her. But Maru proudly says she was once a knight leader and knows how to write important documents. She even gives a bold speech. Even though she can't write Japanese, with Chiba's help, it'll be easy. Hearing her confidence, Chiba believes they can pull it off. But her whole resume talks about being a knight, wielding a magical sword, and being brought back from the dead. Of course, that resume gets rejected. Chiba wonders why she wrote everything so honestly. But Maru says a knight never lies. So in the end, Chiba decides to write the resume himself. 3 days later, everything is ready for the interview. Chiba adjusts his tie and wishes Maru good luck. But Maru confidently tells him not to worry. She once negotiated a hostage situation and earned the nickname Silver Lion. Even though she still can't write Japanese, she's sure she'll win this battle. With that bold attitude, Chiba starts to believe in her again. Now Maru is at the interview. The man asks what skills she has for the job. She says she's trained at night, has combat skills, and wants to use her strength to help society. She's focusing on physical abilities, just like Chiba told her to. Then the interviewer asks what's special about her. Without hesitating, she says she can cut a person in half with her sword. From his reaction, Maru realizes she may have said something wrong. The man is confused. He asks her to take the interview seriously, so she tries again, saying that if the soldier is wearing heavy armor, it only takes 2 strikes to cut him in half. Obviously, she gets rejected. But Chiba still tries to cheer her up. A few days passed since the last attempt. Maru had been practicing job interviews every day. Today, she went to 2 more interviews. If she failed, that would make 10 rejections. Chiba, worried about her, thought of cheering her up with his strawberry daifuku. But when he opened the door, he got a big surprise. Maru was celebrating. She finally got a job. In her excitement, she almost broke his neck while hugging him. Maru had found a part-time job. Since it was a special day, she bought a premium bath to enjoy and proudly showed Chiba her new restaurant uniform. She even thanked him for always supporting her. Chiba just wanted her to do her best, but Maru swore she'd work like a demon. Unfortunately, things went badly. At the restaurant, she caused chaos. Her boss was shocked when she somehow managed to cut a sink in half. All he wanted was an explanation, but Maru grabbed a knife and an onion to show him. Instead of explaining, she destroyed the sink further. Of course, she was fired on the spot. She remembered Chiba's warning not to overuse her strength, but it was too late. Maru realized that to survive in modern Japan, she had to hide the fact that she was a knight, but modern life defeated her. She simply couldn't fit in. Walking home sadly, she stopped by a small shop to comfort herself with a sweet. There, she saw a rough-looking man yelling at an old woman for being too slow at the register. He even pushed her. Maru knew she had to hide her powers, but she couldn't ignore this. She grabbed the man's hand. The man tried to punch her, but with no effort, Maru threw him to the ground. He was stunned, then tried to threaten her again. Maru firmly ordered him to leave. Terrified, he ran off, begging for mercy. The old lady couldn't believe what she saw. Maru felt guilty again, thinking she had lost control, but the woman thanked her and called her kind. When Maru mentioned she had lost her job, the woman smiled and said it might be fate. She offered Maru work at her fish shop. Excited, Maru later ran to Chiba with her first paycheck. She happily showed him what she bought and then gave him a small puppy keychain strap as a gift, saying it was like her rent payment. Chiba was speechless. He would have preferred actual rent money. Soon after, Paris invited them to karaoke. He also wanted Chiba's sister to come, but Chiba was sure she wouldn't. Suddenly, Yui appeared, saying she wanted to go too. It seemed like a plan between her and Paris. The 3 of them posed for a picture, and Chiba secretly blushed, embarrassed to be so close to Yui. At karaoke, everyone was surprised when Chiba's sister actually showed up. She loved it there, especially the karaoke machine, which seemed like a legendary instrument to her. Maru admitted it was her first time but said she had already researched karaoke. She pressed the button, and Yue began singing with a sweet, melodic voice. But then Maru jumped up and started singing at full power, even pulling out her instrument. Yua joined in, and soon Paris too. Maru explained this was the right way to sing karaoke. Eventually, Chiba's sister also sang, shy at first, but she amazed everyone with her energy. Their singing spread through the neighborhood. A group of older people heard it and rushed over. They stormed into the room, dancing wildly, and soon everyone joined in. By the end, they had a great time together. Later, Maru proudly showed Chiba some cheap trading cards she bought. She said she would battle local kids with them. At the park, they saw a man dueling kids and trying to steal a rare card. The kids cheered when Maru arrived. She promised to win the card back in a one-on-one duel. The man thought she looked serious but doubted her skills when she summoned her weakest monster. One of the kids whispered that Maru always built decks with only cute monsters, which made her weak. The man grew suspicious, thinking it might be a trap. But Maru ended her turn without doing anything. Confused, the man also passed his turn. And then, Maru did nothing again. The kids thought luck was finally on their side, but soon the game turned around. The man started bragging that he was going to win. After all, Maru only had one creature left to defend herself, but Maru insisted the fight wasn't over. She suddenly pulled out a trap card she drew herself. It was a dragon with 999 attack points. Obvious cheating. Even the kids noticed. The man, however, started crying. He had never seen such a card before and desperately wanted it. But then he noticed the description. The dragon took 100 times more damage from water attacks. Smirking, he used a simple water gun card, instantly defeating it. The kids sighed. Maru was really bad at this game. Her weakness was ridiculous. Maru defended herself, saying the game wouldn't be balanced otherwise, even if it was just a pocket summon. Since he won, the man claimed her dragon card too. But Maru had one more trick. She pulled a sword straight out of Chiba's chest and cut the man's memories. In the end, she won by force. But to protect her secret, she had to erase everyone else's memories too. Chiba desperately tried to stop her, but then Maru suddenly vanished. Her spiritual energy had run out, and now she was stuck being punished by the spirits. Chiba called Margaret, asking how to free her. Margaret explained there was a way, but it was dangerous. It would shorten Chiba's lifespan. Still, Chiba chose to save his friend. The priest finally agreed and revealed the method. Chiba had to kiss Maru or touch her mouth. Apparently, what worked last time was correct after all. When Maru asked if Chiba figured it out, he told her the method, falling on her, like before. Even the spirits were shocked, but Maru had no choice. She just asked him to hurry and make it quick. Chiba, however, teased her. He wanted her to promise not to use the sword carelessly again. But Maru refused, saying the sword was hers, and she'd use it however she wanted. Annoyed, Chiba decided to humiliate her until she learned her lesson. He grabbed her secret manuscript and began reading it aloud. The story was about a character named Knight Sebastian who had defeated 12 gods, joined a secret order, fought beasts, and even fell in love with a master swordsman. Chiba found it over the top and ridiculous, while one of the spirits defended the story. Soon, the spirits started fighting each other over it, which embarrassed Maru even more. Finally, she begged Chiba to hurry. He kissed her, and at that moment, Maru was released, falling back into her armor. She was free, but humiliated. Chiba gave her manuscript back as an apology. Later, the priest returned to check on her. Maru now had a fever, 38 degrees. It was a spiritual flu, something that happened to ghosts when the seasons changed. The only cure was rest. Chiba asked her to slow down, but Maru refused. Even sick, she wanted to play cards in the park. Chiba scolded her like a strict parent. After the priest left, Chiba offered to make porridge, but Maru said she wasn't hungry. She tried to convince him she was fine and told him to go out and have fun, but he refused to leave her alone. Secretly, Maru found that kind of cute. Still, she wanted to take a bath. Though she pushed him to let her, Chiba noticed her sweating heavily and brought her a bucket of warm water with her favorite bath scent in it. He said he'd wait outside while she cleaned up. But Maru called him back. She wanted him to scrub her back since she couldn't reach it. Worried about her, Chiba agreed. He gently wiped her back with a towel, noticing her skin was soft and she still smelled nice despite being sick. When he was done, he told her to get dressed. But Maru collapsed, red-faced and weak. Unsure what to do, he simply covered her with a blanket. The priest, sipping tea, felt uneasy. He had noticed something earlier. Maru's condition was worsening, not improving. Her fever was climbing higher. Chiba sat by her side, very worried. Meanwhile, the story shifted to the year 1593. In a great battle against the Witch of the Black Blade, armies were thrown back by her power. Margaret, leader of the Serpent Knights, urged her soldiers not to lose faith as the terrifying witch prepared her destructive attack. The witch was a true monster. Maru walked among the fallen soldiers. Their leader held a crucifix and, sacrificing his life, cast a spell that bound the witch with black chains. Maru collapsed, paralyzed. Slowly, she opened her eyes and saw someone, an older man. It was her father. Seeing she was awake, he gave her more antidote. He had saved her when she was cursed before. To comfort her, he said a paladin was a knight blessed by God. He had stayed by her side for 3 days without sleep. But why was she remembering this now? At that moment, Maru woke up in the present. Her first vision was the apartment ceiling. Then she saw Chiba sleeping beside her. At first, she didn't understand why he was there, but the medicine, bandages, and wet cloth gave her an idea. Chiba woke up, panicked about her fever. She reassured him that she was better. Relieved, he still insisted on giving her water and checking her temperature. On top of that, he had even made a dish he found online. Maru tasted it and said it was good. He apologized if she found eggshells since he wasn't good at cooking, but Maru didn't mind. The effort touched her heart. Deep down, she started having strange thoughts about her friend. After eating, Chiba asked what this ghost flu was. Maru admitted she felt like something in the room was draining her energy. Maybe that was why she had fallen sick. She believed another entity was stealing her spiritual power. That night, Chiba got up and suddenly was grabbed by shadowy feline paws. They dragged him through a wall. Maru woke just in time, but her attempt to save him failed. Chiba vanished into the darkness. He landed in another room, surrounded by fire that wasn't hot. It was an illusion. A voice demanded more power. The spirit there revealed she wore a mask and wasn't in her true form. Chiba also noticed Maru outside, unable to enter because of a barrier. The trapped ghost begged him to free her, claiming the flames were burning her. Chiba realized she was in the same state as Maru had been before. Though annoyed, he admitted he liked her slender form. She needed his spiritual energy, but Maru shouted that his power belonged only to her. Chiba was frustrated that she only cared about that. Maru warned him that giving away more energy would shorten his lifespan. The spirit begged him to give his soul to her. Maru refused, furious. The two girls argued over him until the spirit lost her patience. She pushed off her cross, flew into the air, and trapped Chiba between her thighs, pressing his face against her. In that position, she absorbed his power. Light filled the room and the chains broke. Maru managed to enter at last, but it was too late. The freed spirit, now glowing, forgave Chiba for hesitating and introduced herself as Basu, the Witch of Keys. She declared she would make him her first servant. Maru, worried about his health, tried to wake him. Meanwhile, Chiba felt like he was in paradise, lying in a field of flowers. He heard a voice asking who he had kissed. Maybe the blonde paladin, maybe the girl from school. Nervously, Chiba said it was neither, but the girl with soft skin and a slender frame. Then he woke up. His vision cleared, and he saw Maru and the spirit standing over him. Later, Chiba brought the witch some warm milk, his face scratched from the earlier struggle. Once again, she introduced herself as Baswan. Chiba scolded her, saying living in their apartment without permission was illegal. She replied that her true plan was to mentally influence everyone in the building. Maru warned that this girl was dangerous. Her way of speaking sounded like someone who consumed humans. The witch admitted she enjoyed the taste of hearts in liquid form, then women's stomachs, and lastly, men's private parts. She even teased Chiba by touching him lightly, but said it was just a joke. She promised not to drain too much of his power and offered a deal. If he entertained her every day, she would brew a clairvoyance potion. Both Chiba and Maru were intrigued by the new powers. Chiba, still unsure what serving her meant, offered to clean her room daily. Immediately, the witch tried to attack his cleaning tool. The two start chasing each other playfully around the room until she finally wins. Suddenly, she snaps back to reality and sits quietly as if nothing happened. Out of nowhere, the witch says she's bored. She picks up her milk to drink, but it's too hot, and she reacts in surprise. She asks Chiba to cool it down for her. From then on, the witch says she wants him to always play with her and cool her drinks. Maru offers to heat the bath and turns up the temperature on the control. But suddenly, there's an explosion. The bathroom is completely destroyed. Maru says she only wanted to heat the water, and Chiba wonders if it was because of the gas line. Nobody knows what caused it. The witch then tells them to step back. She takes out one of her magical keys and opens a portal. From it, she pulls out a table, some beauty products, and finally, a bathtub. Just like that, the bathroom is back. At first, everyone is too shocked to say anything. Then, they start celebrating and praising her powers. Shay notices that the space is even bigger now, all thanks to her magic. The witch is very proud of herself, especially since the new bathroom has a magical water heater. Both agree she should take the first bath of the day since she created it. She also wants her servant to wash her body, which surprises Sheba. But in the end, he starts scrubbing her back. The witch enjoys his care. Sheba isn't sure what else she'll make him do. The witch reminds him to stay attentive since he has no experience with women. Nervous, Sheba even wonders if he should wash her front too, and begins soaping other areas. Just then, Marvu walks in and stops him. From now on, she says she'll wash the witch, and Shay will be the one scrubbed. But soon, the girls start fighting out of jealousy, and they all end up stuck in that awkward bath situation. The witch teases them, saying that if they become a couple, she'll feel left out. Chipa then brings up the topic of age. He guesses Marvu is older, but she says she's only 17. Shay can't believe it. He thought she was over 20 because of her mature looks. The witch claims she's 18, but Marvu reveals the truth. She's actually over 200 years old. Her body renews itself every 100 years, so while she looks 18, she's really 218. That makes her the oldest one in the bath. The witch then describes herself as a sexy schoolgirl, and Marvu actually agrees, saying she gives off that schoolgirl aura. Shay jokes that if the ages are wrong, he might be the oldest here. The witch gets mad, turns him into a mouse, and throws him into the water. Mouse Shay sinks into the bathtub until he sees a bright light. Suddenly, he turns back to normal. Marvu is worried for him, but he feels exhausted. He only thinks about how happy he is in this new life and about what he just saw of Marvu in the bath. Later, Sheba dries the little witch's hair. Marvu notices she's already fallen asleep. Gently, he lays her down and thanks her for fixing the bathroom. But she opens her eyes, holds his hand, and asks him to keep petting her head. Both are surprised by the request, but they begin stroking her head together, messing up her hair.